Mel Kiper's final mock draft, hot off the presses. It's going up on ESPN.com in just a few minutes. No surprise at number one. No change. Joe Burrow to the Bengals would make it 3 straight years. The Heisman Trophy winner goes number one. Mel has Tua Tagovailoa going 5 overall to the Dolphins. In his last mock draft, he had him going 6 to the Chargers. Only 5 left-handed quarterbacks have ever been drafted in the first round. Tua will be the 6th. And Mel now has Justin Herbert going 6th to the Chargers, flip-flopping Tua and Herbert 5 and 6. Herbert was most recently named MVP of the Senior Bowl. And so as we look here, Mel sees Tua going 5. This is the one thing that has not changed. Through this entire process, our draft predictor has continued to say the 3rd overall pick is the likeliest spot for Tua to go. For what it's worth, Caesars in Vegas gives him the 2nd shortest odds to be off the board at number 3. And here he is. It is Christmas. And Mel Kiper is Santa Claus. Happy draft day to you, Mel. It's a privilege.
You got it, Greeny.
So I want to start there, and then we'll work. I have so many questions for you, but let's start there. Why did you make that change this time, Tua 5 and Herbert 6?
Yeah, you talked to so many different people, and I'd heard Herbert no to Miami. I heard that the other day. Tua, you can't reconcile this, Greeny. You didn't get Breeze. Now, I understand there's different people with the organization, different decision makers, but you had a chance for Breeze. You didn't get him because of the injury. Now you get kind of the left-handed version of Breeze, and you're not going to take him again because of the injury. And the only reason he's there for you at 5 is because of the injury. You don't have to give up any of the draft capital to get him. So that's why I went there. Now, if you feel like, well, as Shefty said, they wanted Burrow so desperately. Well, maybe they don't love these other 2 quarterbacks. They got 18. They can circle back and pick 18 and get a quarterback. And the Chargers may wait till the early 2nd round, maybe, to think about Jalen Hurts. You hear that. Where do these quarterbacks go? I got to put them somewhere. And I can't put them to a team that makes absolutely no sense. Can't project a trade. Can't drop them to the end of the 1st round. So that's the no man's land we've always talked about. Now, does Jacksonville, Carolina rethink things because they didn't expect Herbert and Tua to be there? They have Bridgewater. They have Minshew. Is that good enough to say, let's pass on these quarterbacks? If it is, as I say, Greeny, you get into no man's land. Does New England try to trade up? Does somebody else move up to get one of these guys? Does Miami see one fall in their lap at 18? This is going to be the most fascinating part of this draft is going to be these quarterbacks. Always is, Greeny, but it will be more so than any other draft tonight with those quarterbacks.
I agree, because there are questions here that we don't usually have. And I want to make sure for those just joining us, what Mel just referenced is that Shefty came on in our first hour and said that over the last 2 weeks, the Dolphins have made multiple calls to Cincinnati trying to pry away that number 1 pick, which would mean being able to take Joe Burrow, and they weren't able to do it. So, Mel, what does that tell us about what we think the Dolphins think of the quarterbacks who will be there?
Well, when you hear early on, well, Tua, you don't know, Miami, no one Herbert, that tells you Love was their guy. I mean, Love could be a possibility 18, but Burrow was their guy. Now, to Jordan Love, 18, if he's there, and he probably will be, then that's going to be interesting if Herbert and Tua are gone. What if Herbert and Love are there? What do they do? Todd and I have that wager going. So I think you look at right now Miami, they're desperate for Burrow. Miami is desperate. Cincinnati's saying no. If you loved Herbert and you loved Tua and you're satisfied with both of them dropping to you at 5, you know you're going to get one of those 2. You're trying to give up all that draft capital to get Burrow. Unless they're just playing games here, there's a lot of smoke screens, a lot of things going on, Greeny. That 18th pick for Miami is going to be really pivotal because that's the spot where they could roll the dice, get another position player at 5, roll the dice on 18, or they're just fooling us all and they're going to take Tua or Herbert at 5. That's why right now I can tell you this, Greeny. Talk to somebody. Nobody really knows what Miami's doing. They've done a great job keeping everybody guessing.
So let's play it out, though, because it's fun and because it's not impossible. If the quarterbacks, particularly if it's Tua, slide past 6, now all of a sudden they go into what you just described as no man's land, and that does to some degree bring every team in the NFL into the conversation should they want to. So give me a couple of teams that you'd be keeping a very close eye on if Tua were to start to slide.
I got to believe John Gruden, Mike Mayock, and the Raiders. You're at 12, you're at 19. Derek Carr is a good quarterback. Do they think that one of these 2, Tua or Herbert, could be great? I always thought Jordan Love, if Tua and Herbert were gone, maybe at 19, with the idea we got to beat Patrick Mahomes. We got Drew Lock, another young gun in that division. You know, I thought that was a possibility there, and obviously New England always is. You think about that. New Orleans, they like Taysom Hill, but could they make a move? The Chargers, could they circle back after making a pick early? If they don't take a quarterback, then get back in there and try to get one. As I said, it's happened before, and we've looked back at past drafts, that thing has happened. That exact fact we're talking about. take a player, then watch a quarterback slide, then either take him with your second pick or get back in there by trading back in to get that quarterback. So it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a lot of activity in terms of teams just trying to figure this whole thing out. How many trades we'll have is debatable. They don't think a lot, but in the quarterback scenario, that may force teams to really get moving and try to figure this all out. And what is Carolina and Jacksonville going to do? Are they going to figure, okay, we're okay with our two quarterbacks that we have in Bridgewater and Carolina, Minshew and Jacksonville, to pass on Herbert and Tua and just go with a position player? That'll be interesting as well.
We've been talking about some of the riskier picks. Who would you call the safest pick in this draft?
I disagree with Marcus. I would stay with Burrow if I'm Cincinnati and not trade that pick for draft pick. Draft picks don't mean anything if you don't have the quarterback. Now, Isaiah Simmons is the safest because he can do so much, Greeny. I think you look at Carolina with no Luke Kuechly, put him in there, Matt Rule, and have a guy flying around the field. He'll sack the quarterback. He'll cover a tight end. He'll do anything you want him to do on any play where you need a stop. He can get after it and do those things from a versatility standpoint. Great for today's NFL, Isaiah Simmons.
So he is the safest pick. Who's a player who's on the rise as we look forward to tonight?
I look at Derek Brown, this big defensive tackle who can be versatile. He's got real good movement. These guys had 10 tackles for loss on an average the last 3 years. That's what you got to do. You got to be disruptive. You can't be stay at home anymore. You got to get in there and you got to wreak havoc. He does that. Maybe the Detroit Lions at 3 go away from cornerback Jeff Okudah and take Derek Brown at that spot unless they trade out of there. But Derek Brown won't get past obviously 7 or 8. And he's a guy who could go as high as 3.
And Mel, one more. Tom Brady, of course, is no longer a Patriot. Do we expect them to make a move here?
Wouldn't be shocked if Jalen Hurts was in the mix. We all talk about the Belichick-Saban connection, and here's a guy, 23, maybe a little rich. What if they traded down from 23 into the late first or into the early second? Jalen Hurts, we even had to talk about the Chargers maybe moving into the late first to get him if they don't take a quarterback at 6. So Jalen Hurts probably late first, early second round, with New England obviously a possibility because of that Belichick-Saban connection.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.